Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Tuesday, the 25th of February, 2020, and I'm your host, Shozen. And joining me today, as always, the amazing, the incomparable Bogul.
Hello. I'm here, yes. What's up?
Yes, you are. Now, that's what I'm going to ask you, Bogle. What are we doing today on this Tuesday show? I understand it, Newbie Tuesday, and that means what are we going to do?
Well, the plan is to talk about solo activities for newer players, specifically, what you do without a guild, more or less at the time after you just figured out that there is a royal city that you should go to. We will go over some of these, explain some of the options you have in terms of activities, and then see how far we can take this newbie episode recording thing. But first, as always, we have to do, we want to do the news, the PSAs.
I love the news, Bogle. That's what we're here for. We're here to give everybody the news, keeping them informed, and at all levels, like low levels of how do you get your T4 bag, and high levels of how do you get your T8 bag.
That's the difference.
Shots fired. Right. I know. So let's get on to that news. We have a dev spotlight for
Moritz Bokelmann, the UI designer for Albion Online. It was posted on February 21st already, which was last Friday, but we didn't get to show it at that time. But it's a nice write-up, an interview with Moritz, where he sort of talks about where the UI in Albion has come from. It's currently undergoing what he's calling the GUI or GUI change. Like basically the entire interface is undergoing a rework, and he's explaining some details about that. And it's maybe also going into some details as to what's planned for the future. He's talking about some of the vanity things that were in the past, but
there's a picture of the map. Is he going to talk? Does he say we need to make the map better?
He mentions that they are aware of potential improvements of the map as a whole. So that is apparently on the list. He didn't say when, and no ETAs and these kind of things, and no specifics and these kind of things. But...
Well, he had a couple specifics. He says a movable HUD that players can customize for themselves. I believe that means, I hope it means scalable as well, so we can make it whatever size and place it wherever we want. That would be a huge like quality of life improvement to this game. I would really appreciate that, as I'm sure many players would appreciate that.
But it's a pretty long write-up. It's nice if you want to read something about the dev team, and I linked it in chat if you want to take a peek there. I mentioned the GUI rework. I think that also means that mail is supposed to come soon, because that's a thing that hasn't undergone that change yet, as one of the few things. I'm hopeful.
I will say this. He and I share one of our favorite games of all time. He mentions XCOM 2. One of the greatest games, Those games are great. All the XCOMs are great. I really like the original XCOM, UFO Defense, personally. I find that one to be the best one with mods. Oh my God.
I think that's hard. The one where you're like playing Smurfs and then the big cat is coming, right? That's the one.
Bogle.
We also are looking for forum moderators. There is a post that went up from Mythosyria.
You're hurting me. I'm still in pain, Bogle.
And it's how can I be a mod? Well, look at this thing. Look at this post. They are looking for more mods: English, German, French, Russian, Portuguese, Turkish, Spanish, and Polish. Please note you must speak some English, and then if you think you qualify, you can send a mail to moderators at albiononline.com, where you give them some information about yourself, your character name, previous forum moderation experience, if you have any, why you'd like to join, which language you'd like to moderate, age, Discord tag, all that stuff you need. And then maybe you can be the next swinger of hammers in Albion Online to, look at what people write and then make sure it's not
more mute button. It's like a more mute and you pass it on. I don't know if the mods actually get to swing the mighty hammer themselves. I mean,
I think
end up like whack-a-mole if they did, just bopping people.
Some of the it's sort of you almost make that decision anyways. But yeah, more mods if you are not literally a newbie. It's maybe
if you're not literally a newbie, here for Newbie Tuesday on Newbie Tuesday, where we talk to you about Newbie Tuesdays. Maybe there's a special newbie forum where they could be newbie mods.
That would be weird. No, there is then
you're not talking about new enough information. You are
beginner's questions. You can no, but
yeah.
But that is one of the two news pieces we have. We also have a reminder, I suppose, that is also something important coming up tomorrow. It's the scheduled date for the Alliance test. That sort of changed a little bit, and that is now partially in the Queen Patch 5. And that is probably going live tomorrow. There is no confirmed date, but usually on Wednesdays, stuff like this happens. It's patch day, and that has a lot of the stuff we were talking about last week that caused a lot of discussions over the last few weeks, almost.
Yeah. Oh, wow. There's the discussions have been real, Bogul. They've been real loud. It's been an interesting time to be in the PR business, Bogul.
Oh, indeed.
So it's interesting.
Moving
on.
I linked it in where did I link it? Somewhere randomly, and you can take
right
a
here
look
in
there.
chat.
And expect it tomorrow. It's not confirmed, but it should be.
It's Wednesday. It's patch days are on Wednesday. Them talking about the patch days
somewhere that they're not 1,000% sure, but it's like I would say it's like 90%.
Bogul. Okay, so if they're not 1,000% sure, and you're saying it's 90%, couldn't they be like 100% sure? And that's really close to what you're saying compared to that 1,000% that you're trying to. How do people get it? No, okay. There's a non-zero chance that it won't come out tomorrow, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's get on to Newbie Tuesday and begin with what to do once you're out there in the world. Because I believe we talked about the need and the importance of getting out of the crossroads, learning the map. And then we talked about what to do once you got to the city and how to really get things done. And then I figured we could start talking about what players could do in the overworld, just the out there in the map in general, out where everybody can just get into action. And then you have the mix of an open world, kind of an instant stuff where you go out into the open world and you find stuff and go into an instance, and you have just straight instant stuff right here in the city that you could do.
But one brief production note. We are doing this little recording series with the goal of eventually making, a 4 or 5 part series that we can share with our newer friends, players. And we're just, seeing how that goes. And we're looking for feedback. If you're a more experienced player watching us do this, then feel free to chat and give us advice as to what kind of things we should, explain differently or better or more or whatever. And then over the course of the next few weeks, we'll redo some of these on Tuesday. So we always have the newest, freshest, best information over time. And with that, I will also swap over the view. So people will miss your beautiful face.
That's fine.
And then we can sort of start the VOD part of this. Also, short notes, there will be raffles, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing raffles throughout. So keep your eye on the chat as well. And if you're a new player who's here and has a specific question, go ahead and ask chat. There are a lot of experienced members of the community here in chat hanging out with us now who want to answer your questions and help you get ahead. And we're going to be giving, very specific advice on how to get out and do stuff. But if you have another question, chat is here for you. They really do like helping. They're some pretty good folk. And I hope they'll be here every week to hang out with us and win free gold.
All right. Then let me swap this over and then you can introduce the segment. And here we go. Hello, Shozen.
Hi, Bogul. Are you ready to do another episode of Newbie Tuesday?
Yes, sir, I am. Last time we sort of talked about getting out of the crossroads and then finding ourselves in one of the many beautiful cities of Albion. And we sort of ended up being here in Martlock and looked at the map as well. And now that we sort of figured out where we are, we sort of need to figure out what to do next.
Progression. Yeah, you want to progress in the world. I mean, you want to figure out how to get that fame, how to get that sweet silver, how to level up in the world. You don't want to just stay a city dweller forever, right, Bogul?
Wow. You said that because I was out there in the world once. All right. I did all that leveling and gathering and PvEing, PvPing. I did that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. Well, we can start right there with the open world. We'll talk about all sorts of different things that you can do on your own today, but we're going to start with what you can do in the open world. Bogul, what do you do in the open world?
Does a city gather? I gather in the open world.
Yes, you do. Yeah, I've seen you. I mean, I remember you gathering stone. But yeah, there's gathering that you can do. I mean, and let's start linking it right with the city. Right away, the things that you can notice is that linked right with your city, you can go right out and go and gather. You can come back, refine, craft things. It is kind of like open worldish in that you interact with other players, but it's almost the safest thing you can do, unless you do what Bogul did this morning. Bogul, why don't you tell the audience what you did this morning?
I forgot. What are you referring? I don't know.
Your mistake on the auction house?
Well, I posted a very high buy order for the wrong price. I added another 0, and that was bad. But it happens. Yes. I mean, we sort of talked about the economic gameplay that you can do in the cities. You can, make stuff, produce stuff here. But today the topic is more in regards to what you would do on your own without a guild, right? Because
you don't need a guild to go and use the marketplace or do crafting and stuff like that, but it's the easiest, safest thing you can do. Let's talk about some stuff that is a different kind of progress. Let's talk about going out there and getting the fame, leveling up your stuff. What is the easiest ways you can go out there into the open world and immediately as a player start gaining some silver and fame? What is the first thing that, as you wander out the door, Bogul, what is the first thing you notice?
Guards, and then a circle that is a protective area around the city, and then there's some animals maybe. And
you're just describing literally what's happening as you walk away from the city. I see what's happening. I just looked over and you're just like, I'm a little slow here. No, wandering mobs, Bogul. Wandering mob camps. And we call them wandering mob camps because you can wander between them and get easy fame, and there are little chests that are guarded by the mobs, as well as hidden treasure boxes, which are kind of like, they're just kind of disguised a little bit, but if you highlight them, you can see that they're damageable. They break open and they give you silver, they give you tomes, they give you luxury goods that can be traded in at the major cities for silver. It's uncompetitive. It's like very easy to do. Nobody's fighting over them. And if you just want to wander out there at level 4 and go find some mobs to kill, you can find those. But there are better ways too, Bogul, aren't there? There's like, if you're trying to level yourself up faster, there are other ways to get fame too, such as the above ground dungeons that give you entrances down to static dungeons that have fame and silver and a couple of treasure chests generally. Usually they're kind of those were a little bit more fought over earlier near the release. Now we have 2 types of random dungeons that were released, And those are much more sought after for gathering fame and silver, aren't they, Bogul?
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's sort of the progression, right? You have these open world dudes standing around. Then, if you look at your minimap, you see these dungeons. And then, actually, if you wander around in the world, then you can come across these little portals that you see here. These are entrances to PvE content, I suppose.
Well, it's PvE content. And here's the difference. When you're in the open world here, you're no longer safe, unless you're over in a blue zone. But we expect you now. You're over in a red zone. You're over in a yellow zone. PvP is enabled. People can come over and flag up like we described last week and come and attack you. Now, we suggest if you're very new, start in the yellow zones with these solo dungeons. You can notice them on the map. If you go and you walk around, you'll see the green little solo dungeons, and you can go in. And those are called solo dungeons because they're soloable. They aren't. You're not guaranteed to be the only person in there, but they're a good risk versus reward to give you a good idea of the dangers of Albion while giving you a good reward while you're out there and doing something a little bit dangerous. Now, if you don't want to engage in PvP, you can unflag, and hopefully if you run into anybody in the dungeon, they'll be unflagged too, and then you can wave at each other and go, hi, you go left, I'll go right, and let's do that. Or maybe, Bogul, you can make one of those friends. Have you heard of friends?
Friends is when you flag for PvP and... No, wait. What's friends?
Friends is when you get to group with other people and work together towards a common goal in this game. That's what friends do. Or they give you stuff. Some of my friends give me stuff.
All right. Yeah,
advice.
sure. You can do these solo dungeons with 2 or more people too. Then it's a bit faster, but then the fame is shared and the silver is shared, and it's not.
But the risk goes down a little bit too, because one of the things you do encounter in these solo dungeons are other people. Sometimes they'll be flagged. If you're in a solo situation and you're alone and you run into 2 people, it's a very good chance those guys will flag up and try to either bully you out of the dungeon itself or run you over and take your stuff. Both these things are possibilities. But again, this is a risk versus reward game. And if you only do the things that have a very low risk, you will not get as many rewards. And we'll talk about some of those in a little bit, some of the instance things you can do in the game. But I wanted to talk about something you can do that is as close to solo PvP as you can get. That duo Hellgates, Bogul. That people.
What are Hellgates? What are Hellgates, Shozen?
Okay, just like we have random dungeons on the world where you can go in and do PvE that's designed for PvE with a slight chance of PvP, we have something that's a little bit more PvP oriented. We have 2 types of Hellgates that have different levels of lethality in them. We have duo Hellgates and standard 5-person Hellgates. Now, duo Hellgates, you go in and there's a chance that you will run into another pair of 2, a very high chance. It's designed so that you would run into somebody, and PvP is enabled. And while there is PvE for you to do, and the goal is to complete the PvE for a reward, PvP is a reality that you have to face, and most people go into it with the expectation of PvP, and that PvP is what they want. That's the type of content that they're trying to get out of it. And you have yellow versions, which are non-lethal. Well, actually, they are lethal, aren't they, Bogul? They're in yellow zones, but they're lethal and they're capped, aren't they? IP capped?
Yeah, well, one thing we should also mention is that to get into a Hellgate, you have to look at the map, find these portals, and then smash that demon before that PvP opens, the PvP area opens. But yeah, the point of these is to find a team of other players, probably 2 on maximum in the orange ones and 5 in the red ones. But the level 5-player Hellgates are more of a group thing, and it's something to talk about in next episode when we talk about group content and guild content, I suppose.
I want to make a caveat on that, Bogul. This is one of those areas where it's a group activity. However, many of these group activities have discords that allow for solo players to meet up with other players, and Hellgates is a good way to do that. There's the 24/7 Hellgate and Scrim Discord. You could share that in chat, that a lot of players use to meet up with other people who are like-minded and that they want to do PvP, and they get together. And that might not be the most like welcoming of brand new players, but I guarantee you, if you show you have a huge interest in PvP, there's somebody in there that will be willing to help you learn how to PvP better, because new blood is what keeps these PvP events going. What else do we have here besides the Hellgates and the random dungeons out here in the open world?
I mean, we sort of touched on this. So we came from this open world idea where you walk around in the world, you can gather, you can smash some mobs, you can go back to the city and refine this and make things. And then we sort of went on to partially instanced things, like the random dungeons and the Hellgates. And I think we have to touch on other instanced things as well that you can do from a city. You also saw that probably when you came from the starter city, the Expedition Master. Right now I'm next to the one in Martlock, and here you have not only the very low level ones, the tier 3 ones that you have at the beginning, but you have higher versions as well, the tier 5s and 4s. And they also have, I suppose, group content, but you can queue solo, right? So you can queue for these, and then you can do them as a group in the end. But it's a solo activity that you do as a group. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, at the lower levels, the standard expeditions, you generally queue up either with like a friend or solo and go do that, because it's something you can do that's non-lethal, that you can just get done without having to worry about needing a group, because this provides a group for you. This is also will lead us to the HCEs, or hardcore expeditions. Now those are that's a whole different ball of wax, because that generally does require at least a group that's communicating in some way or really knows how to do the event that they're about to do, because the difficulty ramps up quickly. There are a number of levels, and each level the difficulty goes up, and you can earn maps basically that allow you to do another level of it that's more difficult.
Right. Well, you have to find or buy a map for these first, and then once you complete, say a level 3, or then you can get a level 4 at the end of it if you do it, within the time.
Within the gold time, the goal. Like there's a goal for each one. And now this is another place where you can easily meet people. And we keep saying meet people and engage with people, because it's very important in the world of Albion. You really need to meet people and make friends and start grouping with other people. And this is another area where there's a Discord group, there's a forum group, all these different areas where people will get together and start doing them, because that's what they're interested in. And this one's a little bit more accepting of new players, I believe. They're really in need of more people in the HCE, just Discord in general. They want more people to do that, because it's almost an acquired taste at this point, I would say, Bogul. It's a niche.
You mentioned it, all of these communities, both the Hellgates and the HCEs, and something we'll talk about in a bit, the faction warfare, usually have certain communities, and all of them are organized around 2, 3, 4 different Discords that you should take a look at and see whether or not you can find some mentors, some people who teach you. So instance things, open world things.
Well, there's another instance thing we didn't finish. We have arenas, Bogul. That's another thing that you can get involved. It's the safest PvP in the game. Like, I mean, it's safer than scrims in that it doesn't take as long. It's you don't need any friends at all, and if you're not good, you won't make any. It's a great place to learn PvP with very little on the line, because you can't die. You just respawn. It's kind of like a mix of a hold the point kind of thing. You go to a node, you stay there until the timer fills up, and you get 2 of them, you win the round, basically, right? And it just keeps going.
Yeah. The rewards, like if you're watching this in February 2020 or just shortly after, the arena sigils are quite sought after. So if you're struggling with money at the very very beginning, it's an idea to do these if you can win. And the other one is that sometimes it's a little easier to get into the battle faster if you queue as a healer.
Oh, that's true. Or with a healer.
With yeah.
That's true of like all these queue up events. Let's be real clear. If you have to queue for something in this game, make a friend with a healer or be a healer and make friends. Because just like most MMOs, there are never enough healers in this game. No.
Yeah. Anything else you can reach from the cities or you should do in the cities? I suppose trading as well.
Well, there's right from the cities, and this leads into, I didn't want to get to this quite yet because I wanted to look at the map one more time and talk about the other things on the map that you can do, like the little silver piles, the timed chests, there's a bunch of things that you can get to on the map that are limited time events that you can go and make some pretty good loot on. Like the chests are great, Bogle. I think they're, if you can get there on the right time, be the only one there, be willing to fight for it, and get some good loot. The silver zones, not so much with the little urns that you break. I don't know if it's you're just picking up silver on the ground. I think it's better to just do the wandering mobs, to be quite honest, Bogle.
Yeah, I'm trying to show one here on the map. There you go. It's called a treasure site. These spawn regularly. You can see the countdown there. Be warned though that because these are in a PvP enabled area usually, so be prepared to fight over these or to run. But yeah, the other ones you mentioned is the essence zones. These are used to farm parts of the enchanted potions that you can get as well. There you go, the Sepulture of Magic. And
well, that's a little bit more profitable. I'll say you make a better profit there than you will, on the earn ones. But the treasure chests are awesome. The time treasure.
Yeah, right now you're in one of the royals, right? You're wondering if you're good enough to go to the yellow zones. I suppose we have to mention this briefly, that there is a multiplier of rewards depending on the zone you're in. So of the rewards of that zone. So the multiplier gets higher the more dangerous the zone is. So if you slay a mob in a blue zone, that's not as good as fame compared to if you do the same thing in a black zone. It's of course more dangerous, but it's a big difference where you do it.
And, that's true. That's a lot. That means a lot right there, Bogle. You do, when we're talking about like those wandering mobs and those little hidden treasures, one of the better ways to make silver as an early player is to go into the black zone with low level gear and just hunt down those hidden treasures and just run from people snagging the silver and the tomes. You can actually make a pretty good bit of silver off of that. Yeah, I remember Robin Hooders gave us a get rich quick scheme off of that, didn't he?
Well, he did a video back in the day, and I think he's recording a new one soon. Of just basically treasure hunting, trying to go to the black zones with extremely cheap gear, like literally less than 20,000, 30,000 silver, and trying to get a profit out of that.
I'm reading chat right now, and Fun Stealer, one of our more informed members of our player base, is saying, by the way, the Silver Terries have status that have high fame and big loot. And he goes, so wait, statues that have high fame and big loot. So you go and you break those, and it's worth it, I guess. So you can always hit those. Not a bad tip there from the old Fun Stealer.
Yeah.
So we were saying before, and we were transferring out of the city, and there was some kind of event that you can do right there in the city. We kind of touched on it. Faction warfare and faction events at the Faction War Master there. There's a couple of different things you can do. You can do something that's incredibly solo, Bogle, in that you can just transport goods from your local city different distances across the map for different levels of reward. And there's a little bit of danger in there that you will have to go through some red zones to finish them. But the rewards of them are pretty good. Eventually you get the the items you need for making faction capes, which are the capes that most people in the game at the higher levels use now. They're very needed in PvP.
You mentioned both, doing PvE or, actually gathering as well content while you are enlisted in a faction, which will then, flag you for PvP enabled, and people can.
Oh, I should probably explain that, huh?
Well, I think there's some changes coming to this soon. So it's basically there's a risk again of engaging in PvP while you are flagged for that faction. But the other thing that you can do besides, doing the normal stuff, just faction flagged, also you can do these trade missions, which is I had to say it, but it's a move quest, right? So you pick up something, you move it to a different place, you drop it off. It goes through a PvP zone, and then you get a reward, and you have to move it something else back.
Well, I think honestly, Bo, I think early on in the game, that's a good way to learn. If you're gonna spend a good portion of your time in the Royals, like some people do, they live their entire lives here in the Royals. I know there are a lot of people who do. I ran into Storm. Oh, why can't I? Stormlord is back, and he's always just he's a red zone kind of guy, right? That's where he's lived his whole life, right? For how long has the game been out?
Yeah, 2 years.
And he's in chat right now. I see him not in our chat, but in global chat right now, getting on with his red zone action and getting ready to go attack some PvPers. That's what he does. So there's if you're going to be one of those guys who spends all your life over in the Royals, which is completely fine, you can do this. Learning the Royals is key, and one of the easiest ways to learn the Royal maps is to just traverse them over and over again with the drop-off quests. I learned a lot about my local maps, Bogul, by doing this drop-off quest.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to mention briefly that we forgot at the beginning, there's also hotspots for resources. So you can see these on the map again. This is just a high concentration of a specific type of resource. These are sometimes a little contested because people expect, gatherers to go there and get more from their trip around. But yeah, that's one thing we have to say. And other than just trading with the faction warfare system, you can also honestly just move between cities to buy and sell from the marketplace. That's I suppose a solo activity as well.
Yeah. But you know what, as we were talking about faction, but one of the nice things about factions, it gives you a taste of something that most people only get in the black zones, ZVZ warfare. If you can, if there's a group of like-minded individuals around Bogul, you can go ahead and get in a little bit of that faction warfare. And isn't there a faction warfare Discord as well, Bogul?
Yes,
there is. The answer is yes. And they have organized PvP, and there was an event just this past weekend, I heard, and it was a good time.
Yeah, so a bunch of options there. But I suppose at some point you're like, all right, I kind of need more friends, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why those Discords are a good jumping off point. But what you really need to do, Bogul, is have a regular source of players that you can play with in all aspects of the game. You don't want to have to go to a different Discord every single time you want to do a different event, do you, Bogul?
No.
I mean, if you wanted to make bags, you didn't want to have to go to the bag Discord. And when you want to flip fish, you don't want to have to go to the flip fishing Discord. You want to have a single Discord where you can flip fish and make bags.
My guild Discord?
Your guild Discord. Yes, I'm saying you need to have a guild at some point. Getting a guild in this game is really important. Why don't we end this show on Newbie Tuesday with the recommendation that they find a guild and give a couple of places where they can find a guild.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I suppose next week we will try about stuff you need a group for. So while you are looking for a guild, the solo activities is something you can, get used to and try out. But of course, you can look at the official Albion Online forums. There is a guild recruitment section in there, and there is a lot of forum
there's
posts
wow.
with a lot of guilds looking for members. I suggest you click through these and, try and read up on some of these, because the first one might not be the perfect fit for you immediately. You might have to do some searching, maybe try out a few, and then see what you can do. There's also the official Albion Online Discord that we have. There's a guild recruitment channel in there. And of course, there's in-game the guild recruitment channel that gets messaged a lot, spammed a lot.
There's a lot of, the in-game channel works pretty good. I mean, you're going to be able to find one. Just be careful. This is what I would recommend. Don't just join the first one that pokes you and says, join my guild. Because obviously that's going to be a potato farming guild that's just going to tax you outrageously. Find one that offers you something for being a member. Because you know what? As a player in this game, you are valuable to guilds. If you're going to show up and play the game, you are valuable to a guild. Don't think of yourself as, taking from the guild. Your presence, just being there and being available and doing things with your guild mates is valuable to that guild. Don't pay to get into a guild. Don't pay outrageous taxes in the guild, and expect the guild to provide you with at least content. If it's not providing you with at least regular content, find a better guild that will.
There's hundreds of guilds around. If you want to do some more research, you can check both the rankings. But probably the ones who are on the very top might be a little hard to get into at this point in time. But definitely, if you look on the forums, then you can check the season rankings, see, maybe in the top 20, that's good stuff already. Who absolutely should accept newer players. Maybe some of the highest level ones have, or highest ranked ones have like a newbie, sister guild. But probably your best bet at this point is just, try some of the other ones. Everybody needs members. Everybody's happy to have you. And check these guys out, definitely.
I hope that they're happy to have you. You deserve a good guild, Bogul.
Yes.
All these players deserve a good guild and to have fun while they're playing the game of Albion. This is a good game to play with other people. It's best when you're playing with other people. And if you're playing an MMO, it says massively multiplayer. Try to go out and play with other people. Yes, you can play solo, and there's a lot of solo content to be had in this game. You could chop fish, make fish sauce. Just make fish sauce. Just fish seaweed, chop fish, make fish sauce. Totally solo. Good profits. You could have fun doing that. There's a lot of fun to be had there.
Yeah, definitely. But
if you went out to the Black Zone and actually fished players into your guards using Roselia's fishing techniques, you'd have more fun with your friends. Yes, yeah. The spirit hook, and then just snagging them in, dragging them to the bear trap, Bogul. Oh, just so much fun. Leaving them in the guards, getting them murdered, using the grave guard chain.
Old times.
Oh, good times. Fishing. But it's better with a group. It's better with a group, so that people can see you do it. All right. Bogul, is there anything else we should tell the new players before we go, or should we just get ready to head over towards shout-outs for today?
Yeah, I mean, here what you're watching is us doing a little recording on the AO Daily Show. That's a little program we have here on twitch.tv/Albion Online, where we have almost daily content at 19 UTC and around, sometimes 18, sometimes 21, definitely on some weekends as well, where we showcase as much as we possibly can, both guild events, smaller scale, the Crystal League, various things. So that's what you're watching right now, at least a recording from that time. So yeah, Shozen, we can do some shoutouts. We can do some recruitment plugs for the stream. One last tip I always like to give. Yes, the Black Zone is better in terms of rewards. Maybe it's scary, but honestly, if you budget a little bit, right? So if you wear what you can afford to lose, the black zone and the PvP zones are the place to go for the best returns for your time.
Best returns, but you know what, Bogle, while you're starting the game, there is no shame in starting in the yellow zones.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Starting in the blue zones and staying there, shame. Shame.
Going to the yellow zones, all right. Going to the red zones?
But no, yellow zones, red zones, good. Black zones, better. Get out there and risk a little bit. Just don't stay in the crosses and don't stay in the blue zones. Get out there and have a little bit of fun. Don't be afraid to die. Don't be afraid to die. Like, the worst thing that you're going to lose is your stuff.
And your dignity. But
Bogle. Don't read Reddit. You'll never know.
Oh.
All right, let's get to those shout-outs. I'm going to start up another raffle, make sure we have one going here and get people into that, do some more gold code pulling, and we can go ahead and look at these shout-outs and get on with the rest of the show before we introduce actually, why don't we do that now? Why don't we go over to the other room while we're switching over and see if Lupac is already there, and then he can just join us whenever he's ready.
Okay, do you want me to put your face on, or...
I mean, not until we're ready to have faces. When Lupac's back, we can have faces. I don't leave my face. This way I can drink coffee in peace.
All right, I'll hop over, see you over there on the other side. Talk to you in a bit.
All right, we're back, Bogle. Are you ready?
That was quick.
Yeah, we're good at this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Sternwolf does not want to see Bogle put Shozen's face on. Please don't. Did. Yeah. No, I think he means like in the movie Face Off, where.
Ew.
Have you seen that movie?
I don't watch hockey movies.
It's not horror in any. Well, I guess it is because it does have Nicolas Cage trying to act. Oh. No.
Wow.
Nicolas Cage, John Travolta, they cut off each other's faces and they wear each other's faces. I know.
Ew, I don't like this kind of show. No, I don't watch this.
All right, somebody says, Shozen, you should talk about the point of taxes and why a guild should never have zero tax. A guild could have zero tax if it's making its income from another source. Say they're very good at ZVZs. Then as long as they have a way to make funds, they don't need taxes. But I'm not talking about guilds with zero taxes that are, you have to be afraid of the potato farming guilds that really set the taxes too high and then don't give you anything for your taxes. Taxes are good because they allow guilds to make money to give stuff to their players, and it's necessary. Some guilds have to do that, and it's fine as long as you're getting a return out of it. Just like it's fine if you donate your stuff to a guild as long as you're getting a return on it. I was in a guild where you had to donate 100% of your stuff, and everybody donated 100% of their stuff. It was called Money Guild.
They sure made a lot of money.
What was the motto there, Bogle? Do you remember?
Donate or leave?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you could do what Robin Hood did, I guess, and donate to yourself and then leave. For those of you who don't know, Robin Hood RS did rob Money Guild back in the day. Good times, good times. All right, Bogle, let's get to those shout-outs. What do we got?
Mac Grady 57 asks, and if they lower the price to raise the islands to level 6? What?
I think he was responding to somebody else in chat and gave a shout-out. It's an ask us any. Well, it's an ask us anything. And if they lower the price to the island to level 6, are you wondering if they're going to lower the price of upgrading an island?
Maybe. I think the answer is no.
I don't. I think the answer is I don't know. That's not something they would tell me. Like we don't get any information that would allow us to accidentally spill how people could make profits ahead of time, right? We don't do that generally. Yeah.
No.
All right. Forest Wookie, join Bacon. We have a noob-friendly sister guild, Bacon Bits. I think that's so cute. That's great. I love the Bacon Bits. That's so good. That was all the shout-outs, Bogle?